Good evening, everyone. It's great to be with you. Thank you for joining me on what I think should be a fantastic track and field live show. Lots of sports going on all over the world, and I've been covering a lot of different things. European Championship started today. Germany really put on something on Scotland today. The Cricket World Cup is going on, T20, NBA Finals as well. But I want to spend some time delivering a bit of a live that we can be engaging with, talk about some of the fantastic times and performances that we've seen this season. I also want to address some of the worrying situations for a few athletes and also look towards the national championships. Some of that is going on right now in Africa as well. Uh, but we're inching closer to the Paris Olympics, and teams are going to be named soon. And I thought this was a really good time for us to come and chop it up. And I want to thank you for joining me first and foremost. And I think it's important that you don't forget to like and subscribe because that's a good way to support the channel. And make sure you get your comments in. I know it's been a while since I did a track and field live. I mean, I did a watch along recently, but get involved. It's your show as well. I mean, and I really appreciate it. But before I get into some of the things that I want to talk about this evening, uh before yeah, can't wait to see Shelly tomorrow. Yeah, thanks for joining me. Fantastic. Yeah, I saw that been announced that the Great Shelley-Ann Fraser Prize will run tomorrow, kick off the season, and the anticipation here is that she'll run really well. And I mean, I think most importantly, if she can be fit and healthy, that's what we want to see first, because it's a challenging moment for Elaine, obviously, and we'll wait to see what we get from a Sharika Jackson as well. Hey Debbie, are you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I'm gonna go through a few things tonight. I really appreciate you guys coming on the channel, and yeah, we can talk, put in your comments, your questions, anything you want to do. As usual, it's your show, and if challenge me if you want. But before we go further, I just wanted to do a quick update on a few things that many of you would have seen. But it's always a tough period when athletes can't get to the Olympics because of injury and so on. And we already know the likes of Yulimar Rojas will not be defending our Olympic title, and that is a sad thing. I saw that she's now out of the cast, it looked like, for her Achilles injury, and she's doing calf raises and so on. So hopefully we get to see her back. But most recently, we have seen Trevor Bromell, Britton Wilson, all of them not going to the Olympics, and largely because of concerns about injury. And it's a tough time for some of them. And this is what happens. And unlike a World Championship year, where you get one of those every 2 years, the Olympic cycle is very unforgiving, and missing out on that is just heartbreaking for so much, so many athletes. But we'll get into some stuff tonight, and I want to first touch on Elaine. But before I do that, I want to really quickly make mention of some activities today as well. I saw Kristen Miller, if many of you know Kristen Miller, the youngster there in the United States, and he ran a 9.95 again. Earlier this year, he ran 993. The kid looks bigger than beyond his years, and there's the final to come, obviously, at this New Balance National Outdoor Championship. So who knows if he'll go faster? If he can go faster or run another similar sub 10 time, then I think he could put himself in an interesting mix come to the U.S. National Championships, because it's one thing to run fast as a youngster, but if you're going to go to a national championships, you got to repeat that. And the kid looked really good, and Miller is a special talent, clearly, because he's run a bunch of sub 10s this season, and for a long period of time he was the fastest for the year. So we'll get into all of that stuff. All in the game. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Given Elaine and Sharika start to the season, there's unnecessary pressure on Shelley to produce something blazing tomorrow, which seems unfair. Yeah, we'll see that. Noah to beat another high schooler at the trials. Hey, we'll see. I'm going to get into that in a second, but I want to touch a little bit on Elaine and try to think what we're seeing there. So, as my producer put up the thumbnail, he says, is the dream over for Elaine? And Elaine Thompson-Herah, special talent, we know, generational talent, and it's a sad situation, right? The double Olympic champion is in serious jeopardy of not making it to the Olympics. I mean, it's a tough thing to think about, because one of the hardest things for an athlete is not to be able to defend their own title. I imagine that must be heartbreaking for her. And reports earlier this week, she's off to see the doctor there in Germany, who used to work, I think, with Bayern Munich, and I've seen the likes of Usain Bolt, and in hopes that they can do something and get her ready. But the challenge there, I think, for Elaine is even if they can figure that out, I don't know if she's in the kind of shape that would be able to be competitive at the national championships, right? So we saw her struggled recently at the Grand Prix there in New York, and you never want to see it. It looked devastating. She had to take the shoe off, and they had to carry off the track. But then when you put in the perspective of the Eugene Classic, right? So when she was at the Eugene Classic, that was her first run in the 100-meter. I didn't put much into it. It was disappointing to see the way how she finished down the track there in Oregon. But one could have chalked that up to rust. But with what we saw in New York now and this recent injury, it's clear that there must be some persistent things that ultimately stop the preparation, and I just don't see how it's going to go. And so one of the big names potentially down for the count right now, I mean, I really hope she bounces back and makes it to the Jamaica National Championships. But it's very unfortunate, and I'm not quite sure if we'll see anything substantial for her, given what's happening there. Yeah. Let's see. Let me get a couple of the comments. With the benefit of hindsight, she should have worked out something with Coach Osborne, given how well she worked with her at the end of the last season. I think that's how I thought about it, to be honest with you, all in the game initially, because she came back, was it Prefontaine final? She clocked that. What time she ran in Prefontaine? Was this 10:79 or something like that? But anyway, it was pretty good. She moved from 11 seconds and went sub 10, sub 11. Pardon me. And it looks like things were working out. Now, my initial thinking when she moved, obviously, given the whole situation with finances and whatever came out, I'm not here. I don't have any real comment on that anymore. I thought the move would have been problematic given who we know is over there as well, right? So having both Fraser Price and Elaine Thompson-Herah, that could pose a challenge in terms of preparation, but the way in which it was presented, it seems as if everything was potentially okay. So I suspect that, I don't know if nothing outside of the injuries probably the real reason why she's not performing the way she has. But the challenge is, and I just don't really know how to put this into perspective. So there's on the one hand, whatever injury she has never gone to the point of surgery. At least it doesn't. Or if they've gotten recommendations for surgery, they've never taken it. I don't know. She's struggled with Achilles injuries, and usually, and I know I'm going really out of my depth here because I don't know the situation, but usually those things are a combination of, weak ankle structure, but more importantly, is calf muscle areas, right? Your soleus and all of these other places that tend to get weaker. Now, they should be able to fix that, right? Like that's not a problem. So I don't really know what else is preventing such a long-term injury that's like persistent for many years, right? Like in the interim years of the Olympics, nothing. Always it's a similar type of injury. So not to have a handle on that seems odd to me when you haven't really gone under the knife at the age she was at that point too. Right now she's getting older, so that is a challenge. And yeah, I can't see it. I just can't see it. Whatever it is preventing her from pushing. So the question is, was it preventing her from like performing well in training or something like that? That's the big thing. Yeah, it was 10.79 last season. No, that looked like it was gonna work, but I don't know. And maybe, again, with the hindsight question that you're saying, it could be a potential situation where you get Osborne, who can then focus only on one really world-class athlete, of the highest level, as opposed to Walcott, who has another one, and so on. I don't know, right? Like, even when you say splitting times, it can be difficult. It can, depending on how it works. But I know that's not that complicated. Bobby Kersey has a lot of athletes. John Smith used to have a lot of athletes. Francis has a lot of athletes. But it sometimes the demand is different, right? Whoever Lyle's coached a lot of great athletes, Rainer Ryder. So it's a balance sometimes, but it's tough. I mean, what can they do in 2 weeks? I have no idea, right? What we saw on, when was it, Sunday? It looks very unlikely that you will be able to come back from that. That looks like there's no training all week. That looks like you're in ice and rehab and not pushing it. And it's tough. Yeah. If she can get through trials 2 weeks, that gives her another 5 weeks to Paris, but can't see her running more than 100 meters as trial. With Liston not there, she has a shot, as there's no one else. It's a good question. That is interesting that you're saying, but the problem, here's why I don't think where do we think, okay, if they were able to patch her up and she could find herself at the national trials, how fast do we think she could run? That's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to that. And I actually don't think she can run sub 10. Sub 11 rather. None of those runs, it didn't look that way, right? Like, I mean, but I guess if you're not pushing it, then it's also hard to gauge. Clearly something is there. So maybe she's in the kind of shape, but I doubt it, right? Like, I just really doubt that she would be in the shape and not be able to deliver it, right? It's a hard thing to do. No, to the part of, okay, Brianna isn't there, but there's the Crystal Slowly, young woman. You also cannot count out like what Francis will do with one of the twins. It's just one of those things. Someone could it's an Olympic year. There's people probably will try to do something special. I don't know. If we take it that about Shericka Jackson and Fraser Price will find form and be in shape, well, we'll see what we get from Fraser Price tomorrow. But if we take it that those two have the necessary capabilities of getting two of the spots, then I still think, yeah, I just don't know. I'm seeing you're saying here, and I'll get to your comment soon, Debbie. Yeah, if the best, at best, you're saying she has a 10-9. And I think that's not good enough, because also, can you repeat, right? Like, that's also an interesting thing, Yeah, that too. That's an interesting point. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think it looks tough. It could be can you make it in a relay pool? That's the only thing that I could say there at best. But we'll see. Debbie's saying, why waited? She should have gotten this under control a long time ago. This is negligence. Yeah, it's an interesting one, Debbie. You know, I don't know a single sports person who doesn't have injuries, right? Like there's some niggles in the sense that even as they progress, they still have certain things. But her stuff is usually it takes her out, right? And we have to examine it. It 2015 at the World Championships, she broke onto the scene, right? That was when Daphne Skippers won. It was like what 21 was it 2163 to 2165 if my memory serves me correctly. And then then she goes to Rio and destroys everything, and that was a elite performance. And then nothing because of the injuries, and they can't figure it out. And then, and I still say today, if we didn't have the pandemic, then maybe she wouldn't have made it to Tokyo, right? That was probably a bit too early given the different times she suffered some injuries. I think there's one year that she never necessarily had an injury at the World Championship, or maybe it was ill, I think. But most of the time, it's like a persistent issue with that, and that is challenging. And as you get older, it becomes even more difficult to deal with. I think, yeah. And for I don't know why they couldn't figure that out. I mean, some would point that MVP figured it out, but I don't know, right? Like they figured it out in 2 cycles, and that's fine. But there's a long period of time when nothing was happening as well. So that can be taxing at best. Thanks everyone. Give me a like on the video. Hi, Sonia. Good to see you, Sonia. Hope you're doing well. So you're saying again, Debbie, she got plenty of time to fix the situation. She did. I mean, it's an interesting thing. I think the whole situation is problematic because of not only there's the injury, but it also coincided with divorce, right? Of broken relationships with coaching and transitioning, and it's not easy, right? And then when you move from one coach to the next, there's no guarantee that success will be automatic, right? Even when you move to some of the best, right? So we think about, stuff can happen, right? Even the best athletes can get injured, right? Will we even see? I'm really hoping that we'll see a thing more, right? I think, and there's obviously documented stuff. I think with moving to Bobby Kersey and them just trying to understand each other, right? That, and so it's not always smooth sailing. Yeah. All in the game. I have to credit Noah for investing in his own money into a team of physios, masters, strength and condition coaches, etc., that work directly for him. Others like Elaine should have done the same. Yeah, I think so. I think there's no question about that, right? There's no question about that when you're at certain elite level, when you have a reputation at stake, when you have a mission, you have to have the best of the best. And you raise an important point here, which is also interesting when you even think about team sports. So if you think about like football or soccer, and even American football and all, and these guys have their own personal stuff too. A lot of them have different training regimes. There are people who basically are taking care of them separately because, if you have a team or you're in a camp and they have a couple of physios or so, they have to maybe attend to other people. You don't get as much time as you can. And while track and field still is a poor person sport when in terms of an athletic standpoint, only few people get real money. She's one of the few that can command the big bucks, especially with her stature. So you would think you have to take care of yourself, right? I mean, it just baffled me a little bit, and there's a little bit of wandering in the wilderness in terms of trying to find the right situation. And yeah, I personally would be shocked if she makes the Olympic team. I just can't see it. I mean, just looking at what we saw there on Sunday, She didn't even walk off the track. They lifted her off the track. And if she goes to Germany, and what can they do, right? Like, you know, it's different if you're like in peak shape already and you know you were at like 9.7 or 9.8, and then you're like, okay, I got a stumble week or two and I can just ice it and come back out and run that. Here, that doesn't strike me as the same type of situation. Let me get to your comments again. Don't forget to like the video and thank you for coming on. I think opening up her season with Rowan of the Olympic 800 meter trials is risky, which she raced at least once before. Trials like Shelly. I 100% agree with that. I never liked those type of situation, you know. I never liked that situation, to be honest with you, because you just never know. You never know what can happen. You have to open up, and she was supposed to open up when she didn't go to LA, and she was supposed to open up in Atlanta too, I think, and whatever reason she wasn't there for. I think they said it was out of a precaution, so I have no idea. And yeah, today, I mean, we hadn't seen Faith Yeagan for a while. She's running really well today. Did Kel Jelcher run like some ridiculous all-time today in 10,000 meters? I mean, so I guess you can open up in trials and be okay, but it's still risky because you just want to have a sense of it. It's probably easier for a 800-meter runner than say a sprinter who may, you know, stumble or not feel comfortable. And I think at our best can give you a 155, 154 there. So I suspect she doesn't think it might be a problem, and running through the rounds should be okay. You hope so, because there's no pardons if you make mistakes there. You either in or you go. Let's see. Who do you have getting the third spot? I don't know. Maybe slowly. That I it's hard to say. I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm also intrigued by, you know, this. I get the Brianna Liston thing shutting down, but I swore her earlier in the year. What's the guy? Is it Dennis? He was saying that they were gearing her up for the Olympics. So to not see her is interesting, to be honest with you. Maybe, I mean, sometimes we sit here and we think about, you know, the changing of the guards, and we think about interesting times. I always say, as we are thinking about the end of an era for Shirley Fraser Price, I don't know how many of you would have remembered, but I always go back to 2008, and we should remember 2008. You know, she burst on the scene properly. She was there. She went to the World Championships in 2007, but she burst on the scene and she won, right? And VCB, the world champion, doesn't get a spot. And a lot of people are up in arms. They're like, whoa, what's going on here? Should she really get the spot? You have to trust VCB. You know, there's a thing about it. I mean, it's history now. No one remembers. It doesn't really matter because she goes to Beijing and utterly destroys it in a Jamaica clean sweep. And so I look here. We don't have any real evidence of great talent bursting on the scene, running fantastic times that we can say here is something to look out for. We don't. I mean, when you look at the top 10 times in the world this year, Brianna Liston is the only Jamaican in the mix, right? With her 1091, and she's done. But there's not a lot of great times. I mean, obviously, Sears ran the 1077 early in April, but more recently, obviously, Alfred ran the 10.78, and Sha'Carri dropped that 1083 there. Aliyah Hobbs had run a 1088 too, but that was in April, I think. And so this year is just kind of an interesting year. Like, someone could burst onto the scene. So it's never good when the cycle hits you at the Olympic Games where you're saying, will you find people who will make it? And if you're for the Jamaican persuasion, you know, make sure that medals are still coming in the places that you want to. It's tough. I mean, there's also being spoiled away, right? Like it's very hard for Jamaicans not to reflect on capturing almost all of those medals, right? You go back to Athens, VCB, what, the 200 meters, she medaled in the 100 meters. I mean, 2000. Did they upgrade? What did they upgrade Tanya Lawrence in 2000? No, I'm always forgetting now. I think they did. Uh, then you go to Beijing, everything is clean, everything. 2012, almost everything if it wasn't for Allison. And so there's always this expectation, but people have to come through. And there's been a lot of talent that comes through, and whether or not they want to take that mantle over, like I keep saying, like, if you're realistic about the sport, they should have, if some young Jamaican should have ended Fraser Price's career a long time ago, like, or a bunch of them, right? Like, I mean, I know she's a special talent, but she's 37, right? Or, like, and she may be and they're putting a lot of hopes on her to potentially deliver again. And she's just running for fun right now. There's no pressure on her either, right? Like, we shouldn't even have expectations, I don't think. I mean, at that age, to be still around and doing it just showcases that long level of talent and so on. But let me get to some more of your comments. Yeah, but to answer you, I actually don't know. I'm hoping we get a surprise. Who knows? I would love to see some 10-8s there, but I don't know. I mean, I want to see what Shericka Jackson will look like. I mean, she looked a bit heavy on the circuit, both like training wise and both like weight wise too. But until they don't prepare athletes well at MVP, I don't worry about it yet. Let's see. JPSG. I suspect you like Paris Saint-Germain. I was supposed to go to the Parc des Princes when I was there, but I just couldn't put some time in Paris to do that. Unfortunately, I don't see Elaine qualifying. I predict it will be Shelley, Shericka, and Sha'Carri Forbes. Interesting, yeah. That. Yeah, interesting. We'll see. Yeah, Miramore basically paced 19-year-old sister to third place in Kenya. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Was she ran like 2 minutes, or was it what time was it? I looked at it earlier today, but it wasn't particularly fast, I don't think, right? It was, well, yeah. She almost ran 2 minutes. It was like 1:59:30 something, I think. Not really great for her standards, but maybe she also was in training mode. I'm not worried about Miramore, to be honest with you. I think she'll figure it out. I mean, I have on the list to talk about the women's 800 meters. I mean, might as well I just, probably briefly say something on that. I actually don't even know what we're gonna see with women's 800 meters this year. I think it's just in a space where it's hard to predict too. I mean, there's a bunch of lovely athletes there that could potentially do something. I think women's 800 meters are in a good space. Keely Hutchinson obviously ran out 1:55 in Eugene. Special talent. Obviously, Miramore already dropped at 1:56 there too in Eugene. Sedegos also from South Africa is there. And Nakai, there's a bunch of women that can do stuff, whatever we see, obviously, from I think Mu as well. And I suspect in Paris, we're going to get 3 or 4 women running 1:55 or better. A very low 1:55s potentially, right? I think that's the 800 meters is just in a healthy space there. So I'm not particularly worried about it. Yeah. Oh, she did it deliberately to help her sister. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Thank you for that, Sonia. Yeah, be nice and hit the like button. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on a couple of those things. And so I do hope Elaine finds health and can come back, but I'm not 100% optimistic on that. And if one Olympic champion seems, in my estimation, to be having a season that's in a bit of disarray, then certainly it's been the opposite for Sydney McLaughlin. You know, McLaughlin has been in outstanding form. Much credit to Bobby Kersey, obviously. Clearly has her in great strides this year. Last year, she looked fantastic over that flat 400 meters, and we thought something was going to happen, and she doesn't go to the World Championships. But she looks really good this year. Quite possibly the most impressive athlete of the year. Maybe not. We can argue on that, but she's on the list for sure. And it's clear that she's probably aiming to break her own world record, all in the game, and I talked about that last time on the live. But we will see. I mean, she clocked that impressive 52.70, which was the fastest time until a few days ago when Femke Bol won the European Championships in 52.49. And so it's no secret to anybody who follows the sport that the battle for the gold medal will go between McLaughlin and Bolt. And I think when you look at both of their preparations this year, it's slightly different, right? The athletes have been doing some different type of preparation over these past few years. We saw Femke a lot in indoors. She broke the world record over 400 meters in indoors. And there's like a clear effort on a lot of speed endurance, a lot of strength work in terms of just the capacity or lung capacity and so on. And then Sydney, on the other hand, looks really capable of running anything from 200 meters onward, right? It's just something that I've not seen in a long time. Really refreshing. Sydney with that 22.07 in LA for that 200 meters. That was a sub 22 if she had run that better. You know, our technical issues, I thought, with the stride patterns. But it suggests in great form. Then we have to think about that running Randall in New York last week. 48.75 is phenomenal. That, you know, immediately went to the world lead. Immediately knocked Nikki Price off of it. And the real question, and I've been thinking about it all week too, is will we get two women going below 51 seconds this year? That's the challenge, you know. Can we get two women running below 51 seconds? I mean, it's uncertain. We don't know for sure. But what I know for sure is that the gold medal goes through both of them, right? And there's nobody else in the mix. No one with any kind of times that can even come close, remotely close to when they are even jogging. And that's what we're going to get. The next closest is what? Jasmine Jones, I think, with a 53.15. She looked good in Eugene the other day. There is Sutherland. There's Clayton. Anna Cockrell runs some good times too. But they're in a different postal code, right? So strategy-wise, I really wonder what we'll get. I suspect both of them will go out really hard. I just can't see them not going out hard. I think Sydney will go out hard. And they'll just probably push themselves to the limit, and both of them coming to the Olympics in great shape. If they're healthy, in great shape, then this is probably one of the best races to watch come Paris. Let me get back to some of your comments. Here, Kayla White, Britton Wilson, Jackson, Michael Cher, Trayvon, all scratch. Yeah, I saw that. On the top of the show, I was saying Britton Wilson and Trevon Bromell was the latest two. And yeah, there's a lot of people here that's not gonna go, and it's an unfortunate time because the Olympics only comes around every 4 years. So it's a tough thing, but I think that's part of sport. It's unfortunate, but let's see. Could Sydney put a full second on Femke in Paris by running 49.9 to 15? I don't know. All in the game, I don't know, because I actually think if Femke, I think Femke has 48.7 in her too. I think on flat 400 meters. I mean, what we saw in the in short track this year, what we see from her on those 4x4 she can run with the best of it. If she went, I think if Femke run flat 400 meters, she gets a medal for sure. Potentially wins it, right? That there's a ability there. What I don't know from Femke that we know from Sydney is that I don't know how fast she's in the close, right? That's the interesting kind of thing. But speed in the close don't really make much sense to me anyway, right? Like I think in a 400 meters, it's like it's just like because by then you're spent, right? Like there's nothing there. It's just like holding on for dear life by that point. But Sydney's really quick, so I think she's gonna try and attack those hurdles really quick. I think it's about clean hurdling as well, clean hurdling, and whoever does that well and comes off the top. I mean, maybe Sydney. I think Sydney could out sprint her. I think they line them up in a 200 meters right now. She ices her, right? Like it's not even close. But there's a difference with those barriers. I just don't know. I don't know if she can put a full sec. I mean, if Sydney goes 49.9, then I mean, we should shut down the Olympics after that. Like, I mean, it's just, yeah. And the thing I like about Femke too, she's taller too, so she has, she can go over the hurdles better. There's a lot there's weaknesses that I don't really know, right? I think, yeah, we'll see. But Sydney is in great form. Who knows? She may even break the world record at the U.S. national trials. That might be a thing. So we'll see. Mindset, good evening. How are you doing? The women's 400-meter podium will be hard to make, but the bronze might be up for grabs if the four girls can PB in the finals. Yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a second as well. But I mean, since you brought it up, we can talk about women's 400 meters. Now, that's gonna be a more challenging race at the Olympics for sure. Right now, all right, let me start with the elephant in the room for the Jamaican audience. I actually don't know what Nikisha Price can do in Paris. I mean, obviously, she just ran that fabulous 48.89, but it's a long season. But she should win the national trials or at least make the team. There's enough time to rest and come back, so hopefully she can be in the mix. But it's not going to be easy because we're talking about a bunch of people with experience as well. So I still think that Paulina, for me, will start favorites. I think she'll come into the championships ready to go. There's Kaczmarek. Kaczmarek run that she went sub 49 in Rome a few days ago at the European Championships. What was it? 49.98, I think. I just think that the breakout person might be Adeleke. I just really think that, I mean, I don't want to go this far. I think I'm going too far in this. I'll just say that I think she has all the capabilities of running a fantastic 400 meters. And I just think that she might be in the 48.6 range to come the Olympics, right? So we're talking about Price, Kaczmarek, Adeleke, Femke Bol is not running. Obviously, neither is Sydney McLaughlin. The only other person that I'm thinking, I mean, and then you have we can't count out like Amber Anning too, but we'll see. I don't know what will happen there as well. Lika Clava hasn't been running as fast as I thought she would have, but she's probably gonna go sub 50 for sure this season. What's the status of Shawnee Miller-Weber? I don't really know. Where is that? I haven't heard anything recently. If anybody knows, we'll see there. Let me see what All in the Game is saying. I want to see both of them commit next year to flat 400 meters. Yeah, that would be good. You mean Sydney and Femke? I had a cricket on, so he decided to come off there. Sorry. And what else you're saying here? Paulina, Adelike, Price, Kazmarek, etc. will be the hottest ticket in town. No doubt. I mean, what I really I stopped short from saying that Adelike kind of reminds me of Jose Perec, but that's actually even that's disrespectful right now to Marie Jose Perec to say that. But I just think with the way our stride patterns could be so beautiful. To obviously Shawnee is world class in terms of how she ran these last how many years. I don't really know if she'll do anything. I haven't seen anything from Mila Weber as well yet. But if she comes on the scene, maybe we'll get something. Let's see where we are. No worry about it. Yeah. No worry about it. Good evening to you too. Tennessee senior. Yeah, I saw that reported. Yeah, I saw that so Brianna White is reportedly undergoing change of allegiance process to Jamaica and is set to compete at Jamaica trials in the 400 meters, despite being listed as an American on World Athletics. I did see a report on that. Did it? And I suspect it came through. So we'll see. We shall see there. And like Thomas last here, 50.64 PB is the 8th fastest in the NCAA. This is the 19th fastest in the world. She ran 50.79 for 8th place in the NCAA final behind the Arkansas 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, that Arkansas 1, 2, 3, 4 was something else. I mean, there's ridiculous there. And then that 4x4 they ran was also good. I don't like the scheduling of the NCAA national championships. I don't think it gives them the ability to really destroy a relay the right way. But I do understand how those quick competitions work. Sonny is saying Price might be tired after coming from her hectic season, hoping for the best. Yeah, I think so. But I definitely think she has enough in the tank to. I actually think she'll win in the Jamaica national trials. I just can't see her not winning the national trials, right? And if she doesn't win it, she's definitely on coming top 3. I don't see 3 women beating her. And most importantly for her then would be after the trials, you're looking at almost 6 weeks, well, less than 6 weeks to the Olympics. That's more than enough time to get a little bit of a rest and try to come back again for the Olympics. It's not going to be easy. You're going to run some tough rounds there in Paris, but I think she has enough to get through a couple rounds, and then semifinal is going to be a cracker for sure. But I think Price is good enough for the Olympic final if they can get her in the right shape and she's not overly tired, right? I think it's just about fitness and managing that. And that's why I think a lot of people are really scared of the season, especially for some athletes. They just don't want to be doing things too early before you get to that stage where it's all over, right? And you go to the Olympics and not perform. It's kind of an interesting season, but we'll see. Mindset. Sienna Miller is recovering from a nigga she hasn't opened up yet. Bit iffy for the Olympic trials. Yeah, that too. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those years, Sonia says true. And All in the Game. Price will win the trials in her sleep. Next fastest is Stacey Williams, 50.71. No, I agree with you. I think she should. If she doesn't win that easily, then she probably was partying too much after the NCAA trials. And I'm just saying that she didn't. I don't think she was partying, and I think it's what they've done at Arkansas to get her to that level is different type of work there. And when you look at her too, you could see there's a lot there's a body there to still be built, and so the sky's the limit for her if things go well. Adelike will be the next after Shawnee to run 11, sub 11, 12 on sub 49 combo. I think so. She's the complete sprinter as well there. And yeah, she's at the right kind of preparation right now. So I'm not even, yeah, it's gone. I don't think I wouldn't put it past us if we are crowning an Olympic champion out of Rashidat Adalike. It might be pushing it a little bit, but I would not be shocked, and I don't think many people would be, because the talent is there, and we all know who how the preparation will go. She will not go there and not be in good shape. So yeah, I want to touch quickly on the men's 100 meters and then go to maybe say something on the 200 meters. Obviously, at the top of the show, we saw Kristen Miller running that, what was it, 995 to win his semifinal in the New Balance outdoors. I mean, the kid doesn't really look like a kid, if I'm being honest with you, in terms of his ability so far. He's been running really, really well. And yeah, I mean, he's an interesting kid. I wish him the best. I mean, this is what he's gone sub 10 multiple times for the season now. That shows me something, that he could potentially do something at the U.S. Championships. You never know. You just never know. Maybe he can sneak his way on a relay team, right? I mean, you just never know. But we'll get a chance to unpack that. Men's 100 meters, very interesting, right? So the competition, I wouldn't say it was particularly exciting this season. It's, you're getting sometimes that you're not jumping out of your seat for, right? That's what the 100 meters looked like to me. And I wasn't upset about it, but I think that's how things were panning out. And then we got that massive showdown between Noah Lyles and Oblique Seville in Jamaica a few weeks ago. And it's a big run for Oblique, I thought. I mean, he did a number of things there, right? A number of things well, obviously, but the psychological part of that too, not necessarily against Lyles, but for himself was big, right? You could see that here's the fastest man in the world, the double world champion, coming to Jamaica and potentially thinking he was going to cakewalk it. And the kid says, well, I'm going to defend home turf. And he really did well. He got up. I mean, Noah lost that race in the early stages. There's no question about it. By the time he got to top end speed, Seville was way ahead, enough time to look across the line. And these are two seasoned campaigners as well. We have to think that Oblique is very seasoned now. Oblique made it to the semifinals of the last Olympics, if my memory serves me correctly. Then he obviously finished outside the medals at the last two World Championships. So he's been testing the waters at the international level and understanding, I suspect, what it means to lose before you actually win. Hasn't won anything yet, but this could be the year for him. And if he doesn't start thinking that way, then he might be in trouble. But as we approach these national championships, we'll really get a better sense of where he is and where Glenn Mills will push him to be. But I think he can definitely crack 9.7s this year for sure. It looks that way. How far below that, I'm not quite sure. It's not easy to run those times. We haven't been seeing those times. But up until the Seville Lyles showdown, we hadn't been getting anything fantastic outside of the season, from season campaigners, if you want to put it that way, right? So we had Lyles, we saw Seville, obviously those 9.8s, but only Simbini ran a 9.94. Kristen Coleman gave us a 9.95 as well. That new Cuban kid, Montoya, broke on the scene. He gave us a 9.90. And obviously you got like Miller, Kendall Williams running well, that Hinkling kid, all of those guys in the 993, 994 range. But none of them are like campaigners that we really anticipate much from, right? Obanyala hasn't gone sub 10 all season. Lamont Jacobs look decent in terms of like his fitness is coming back, but haven't run anything special yet. There's a couple Nigerians in the mix. Ese Bruma's brother as well. Not oblique. Akeem Blake as well, hovering around there. We saw Andre Degas running decent, but nobody with any spectacular times as yet. The Fred Curley thing is interesting too, because I was hoping to gauge where Fred Curley was in New York, which he eventually pulled out of the race because of the start, which was, in fairness to him too, the whole situation at that Continental Tour was shambolic in my estimation, because I really don't understand what was happening there with the starting blocks, and for it to be a top class show meet, it was far from that. Yeah, let me take some of your thing. Yeah. So so I think that's where we are. So my thoughts on the 100 meters before I get to some more of your comments is that it's really difficult to still pinpoint a clear favorite for the Olympics. I mean, in the post Usain Bolt era, the 100 meters has continues to be anyone's game. No one has actually won back to back at anything since that time. The titles have been changing hands. And so whoever comes good on the day potentially could win it all, right? I suspect if you're from the Jamaican persuasion, then you would like to see Oblique Seville do something, as long as he makes the Olympic team, barring any kind of injuries or anything going awry. But right now you're still kind of thinking it might be a Lyles Seville showdown, but there's a bunch of other people in the mix that could potentially get faster as we get closer to the Olympic Games. And we'll see for sure coming up in the next week and next 2 weeks over the U.S. National Championships. We'll get to see what we'll from the Americans as well. But the 100 meters, we just have to kind of understand where we are in terms of we won't be getting those super times that we used to get before. Let me get to some of these comments. Mindset, what do you make of Brianna Liston closing our season at this point? I tried to address that earlier too, to be honest with you. I don't know, because unless someone can correct me, I could have sworn that at the start of the season, the early discussions for her with the coach was that they weren't thinking about just the collegiate season, they were thinking beyond. But so I was a bit surprised. Maybe something is happening there. I haven't followed anything recently, nor have I asked anybody. But I thought she would have made the team for sure in some capacity, relay, and it would have been a good thing for her to go to an Olympic Games, run on a relay or two. Who knows? She could have even made a 200-meter team as well. So individually, I'm not quite sure. But she's very young still, a whole career in front of her. So some world championships next year in Japan, so maybe we'll get to see her there, and in time for LA Olympics. So, but yeah, I was a bit shocked by that, to be honest with you. A 9.7 or higher, 9.7 high, sorry, or a low, 9.8 could win at the Olympics Games. Yeah, probably. I think so too. Especially how I'm betting or banking on that there's gonna be negligible win at the Olympics too. Yeah, I'm about to find out if I'm wrong on that, but so I'm not particularly optimistic that we'll get tons of blazing times, but we'll see. I mean, there's athletes that will want to come in the mix. Where will Letsili Tibogo be? We'll have to wait and see too. I never mentioned him, but obviously we all know he suffered that unfortunate situation of losing his mom. We'll have to see if that impacts him on the track. Obviously it's impacting him, but where that turns out, we'll have to see. Let's see what All in the Game is saying here. Nigeria's men 4x1 is looking good. Yeah, Favor, Ashe, Udu, Godson, Brume, and Ajayi. They have Nigeria should be on the medal podium at the Olympics. Now, whether they get on the medal podium is a different question. But they have some capabilities there. I even think in the women too, they have an opportunity to push the limits on that as well. Whether they do that is another question. But they have talent there. We shall see. But they should be medaling at both in the next couple in the Olympics for sure. The I will say to the reason why I say they should, because it's different, because you get the Italians might surprise you again. They look good. The Brits, they people who do good camps, who can get athletes ready, can always surprise you. Japan might come and do something out of the blue, right? That's the kind of thing that you should always be concerned about. But I agree. I think they have the capabilities of doing something there. All in the game. Jacobs winning in exactly 980 again would be the funniest thing in the world, and it could happen. It could very well happen. He looks injury free. We saw him. The first time I really took a good look at him was that run in Ostrava. He was at Ostrava in the Golden Spikes, I think. Then he looked okay coming. I've seen a few races. He's not looking out of his element. Doesn't look like there's any great speed there yet. He was perplexed a few times why he hasn't been running a bit faster, which suggests to me he's in health shape wise, he's in good shape. Maybe it will come, probably. It will come. And since we're mentioning him, the Italians are going to come back again at this Olympics and just basically do some interesting stuff. They have a bunch of talented athletes all over. Obviously, I mean, high jump is going to be good. Yeah. They have a little good group going there. All in the game would have entered Liston in just the 100, not the 200. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Maybe take a pick on one. But if you were thinking that maybe the 100 meters might be challenging, maybe you take the 200, because I think you can get a space on that. But I mean, none of that will happen now, I suspect. Liston was running with all with the tapes all the time, so it might be the best thing. She's still young. No, if someone pulls you and they say, look, for your health, we should shut it down. I always think that's the best thing, especially at her age. She potentially has 3 Olympic cycles in her if she can stay healthy. The biggest challenge for athletes is staying healthy. It's not easy. It requires attention to detail. And it's less luck. I hear people sometimes saying you have to be lucky not to get injured. I think that's a load of that. No, that's not. That's going a bit far. That's not particularly true. Athletes who don't get injured are athletes who pretty much are always in tune with their body. They do the right thing. They show up the right time. They attention to detail. That doesn't mean attention to detail athletes can't get injured too, but it happens. And some people just they never suffer anything that can put them out. As I said, they all have niggles. They all probably feel out of it from time to time, but I mean injuries that really prevent you from doing anything. And maybe sometimes you just need generational athletes that can withstand that. But I don't know. Like how Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce managed her whole career to be at this level is still kind of surprising to me. I mean, she had that toe injury in Brazil, but outside of that, she doesn't get injured. And I don't really take the injury last year to mean anything. If we look at the lifespan of an athlete, the fact that she was around still is just outrageous. Haven't you heard? Yeah, I saw the Taekwondo Tracy thing. He's been brought in front of the disciplinary committee now. My question is like, what the hell? Why no? How does it take that long to get to that point? This happened in Budapest, right? We're getting close to a year. This is deadlock. I have no idea. I mean, I saw the reports. I haven't dug into it. I said I was going to ask Levy about it, but I haven't talked to anybody about it. But I find that kind of laughable right now. So we'll see. I want to mention. So I want to get to the women's 200-meter in a second, but I want to, since we said disciplinary committee, even though this is a different situation, I was intrigued to see the AIU, the Athletics Integrity Unit, accusing now Spanish athlete Mohamed Katir of manipulation and tampering. Right. So as you know, he accepted a ban recently for whereabouts violation. And if you know my position on whereabouts violation, is that I do not believe whereabouts violation occurs 3 times in any calendar year. There's no way, absolutely no way you're doing whereabouts violations 3 times in a calendar year. You can make a mistake once. You can be like, whoa, I forgot. And it could happen once. Maybe if you end up twice. But no one has 3 whereabouts violations in a calendar year. So all of those athletes that had that is always I'm always looking with a side eye. Obviously, I can't accuse them for anything, and I won't call any names now because I can get in trouble for this. But there are a bunch of people who serve their whereabouts violation, which I really wonder. And we know athletes, we have it on record as well. Athletes deliberately miss tests. We know under the Rodchenkov Act thing, Okabari missed tests deliberately. The testers were at her door when they were trying to catch on her, when they were catching up on her, and she was in conversation with Eric Lira, who took a very interesting sentence the other day for this, and she was trying to figure out whether or not she should just miss the test, and she missed the test. So I am very skeptical of whereabouts violations when you tell me you missed 3 in a calendar year. So now that they're charging him with tampering, that makes me believe that, dude was doing something. There's no way he wasn't doing something, right? And so he was charged with the whereabouts. Now they're coming back and leveling another charge for manipulation and tampering, which now is different level. That means that 2-year thing he gets is not going to be 2 years if he's found guilty here. It's going to be a lot more. And it's interesting. I don't know if you guys are following stuff too. There was this interesting report in the New York Times today as well. It was happening also around, we've seen it, where there's apparently WADA is being criticized for covering up some multiple drug failures in China, so particularly in swimming. So yeah, that's unraveling right now. So preferential treatment is being the word people like Travis Tygart from USADA is from USADA and so on. So yeah, it's been interesting there. Let me get back to some of your comments with only Shelly and Sharika, US 4x1 going to win 3 in a row. Yeah, there's no chance for the Jamaicans. Absolutely no chance. I mean, unless we get somebody else out that we don't know of that can run a couple 10-8s. If we can get a couple 10-8s, then maybe. But the US is so stacked that there's no way, right? They'll mess about and put Sidney McLaughlin on a leg if they need it. Like, they probably won't do that, obviously, but it's just, yeah. That was my reaction to what the hell, why no? Yeah, that in response to the Taekwondo Tracy, it's taken forever. Like, if you really wanted to get on top of that, you should have gotten on top of that a long time ago. I guess Maurice comes across as petty and vindictive. I think Wilson. Yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot of things administratively that is left to be desired in the structure of sports, and that's how I leave it. And to be to be politically correct on it. But yeah, there's a lot of things there. You agree with all in the game. Christopher Taylor tried that nonsense too, according to all in the game. Yeah, I mean, look, when no one misses whereabouts violation, they can't tell me that with a straight face. They can't. No, you can't tell me that. The Adams is the easiest thing to fill out. There's a bunch of training on it. There's everything around it. And if you are an elite athlete, you should know this. It's your livelihood. First of all, it's your livelihood. And even like when they even put kids in the pool, so when you have like young kids who are not in the, because I don't know if this Christian Miller is in a, I don't think he's in a testing pool yet. He might be in it now. They may have already come to him since he ran that 999, and they'll put him in and they will inform him about like what his responsibilities are and what he has to do and so on. And you're in a pool, you know this. And if you are in any situation that someone additionally takes responsibility to say, hey, remember you got to fill out the items, or and you remember you have to be on top of these things. And yeah, I don't buy it. I really don't buy that they missed this. The interesting thing is that kid, the Suriname kid, he's been hit hard on that stuff too. He's and yeah. But anyway, that's for another day. What happened with Christian? Oh yeah. He did refuse. He was at the airport, if I remember correctly, and he didn't give the test and something like that. Yeah. And I don't know what he was saying. My memory is a little bit shaky on this. You can try to give the test and not pee, but they wouldn't. If you come, they'll stick around or they'll come back if you can't produce a sample. And I think if he had to get on the flight, I think he was saying he had to get on the flight. They would allow him to get on the flight, and he wouldn't get a violation if he. I think there's something really fishy with what he was saying. So you get slapped with that stuff. It's not. Yeah. A lot of people, I just don't have time for it. I'll be honest with you. It is. We can have different debates about what it means to be, what the integrity of the sport might look like, because other sports don't follow the same level of scrutiny as track and field in terms of how they monitor athletes on prohibitive substances. Sports that have a lot more money do these things, but usually, you get what. Yeah, but when you get caught up in these situations, it's interesting, right? And you can never think that there's no big doping programs going on, right? Like it's hard, right? Like to believe those things when there's a tons of money and research going into things, and when you can still continue to pay off some people at some points in time. It's not. Sports is never as clean as we think it is, but it's never as dirty as it used to be, I don't think, right? But now I'm kind of thinking about this whole Chinese situation in a different light. I have to do some more research on it. But, gone are the old GDR days, but still stuff happens, right? And the one thing I know for sure is that we'll see a lot more people get testing positive relatively soon if they are actually taking stuff, because there is an effort obviously to limit or restrict the amount of athletes who go to an Olympic Games on stuff, because it just kills the spectacle. You just never want that to happen. As you know, in Paris they'll be handing out a bunch of Olympic medals to people who missed their medals from years gone by. So we'll know. And a lot more people are gonna get caught over time. So we now have, especially sprinters now, because before they only used the biological passport stuff for distance runners. Now they're coming with an equivalent for sprinters. So yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be we're gonna get caught. We're gonna catch a lot of people if they're messing up. They're gonna see these things at some point. Uh, yeah, my memory is off the thing. I only remember Mohammed Khatib. But there's another guy that just got, yeah, there's a guy the other day that the Kenyan dude you're talking about, right? Keep wrote. Yeah, I'll have to look it up again, man. It's I'm missing out on it as well. But yeah, there's all these things. So yeah, let's quickly talk women's 100 meters because I don't think I touched on that. I wanted to talk about that as well. Interesting place there. We are at a moment where there might be some interesting changing of the guards there for women's 100 meters. We'll have to wait and see, but it's an interesting season, obviously. Clearly the big three era for Jamaica, I think, is over. There's no the three that we all know. I doubt those three will make it to the Olympics, and if they do, I don't think they'll be in the kind of shape to win it all again. So I think that those days are gone. I think right now, as I mentioned, and as many of you know, Elaine Thompson-Herah is seeking medical attention, so her path to the Olympics doesn't look particularly promising. We'll get a chance to see what Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce delivers tomorrow. And what we've seen so far from Shericka Jackson indicates that there's still work to be done, but I'm not particularly worried about that. We'll get a better sense when it comes to the national championship. So that's on the Jamaican front. But for me, most impressive athlete of the season is probably Julian Alfred. I think she could potentially have a bumper year. She's finally left the collegiate ranks, and she's been prepared just to excel at the Olympics. And her path to the Olympics is very smooth. There is no national championships that she has to worry about. And so her preparation is going to be key leading, and I suspect she'll hit the last couple of two diamond leagues or maybe one of them before the Olympics. There's one in Paris and London, right? Not in the Olympic Stadium, but in another stadium. And yeah, so she had that 10:78 in Kingston. It was good. It was a strong performance. We also saw a solid performance from Sha'Carri as well in Eugene. And so, yeah, I don't know what we'll see. You know, Dean Asher-Smith won the European Championships, not particularly fast time, but won it more so from just a pure heart perspective. And we'll get a chance to see, but it might be a new day. It might be a new day. Let me get to some more of your comments. Shelly could spring a surprise. I think, you know, I might be just be hoping, but I don't want to rule out. Well, you can never rule out Sha'Carri Fraser-Pryce. Nobody can. Even at our age, you can't. Let's be honest. There's never a time, and I always say it, so if you are here all the time, you'll hear this again. There's one thing to beat an athlete. There's another thing to push them off the medal podium. And for our entire time, no one has successfully done that. She stands above all with consistency. Even when she's hurt, she's finding a way on the medal podium. That's why I said last year, if you're Marie Jose Talu or anybody in the mix there, there's no right in the world that you should allow Sha'Carri Fraser-Pryce to eat your food in Budapest. And she took it away from them. She barely ran. She had a knee injury the whole season, walks in with a half warm-up thing, makes the Jamaica. This is what? And finds her way on the podium. So if she's healthy and she can get a couple starts well, you know, you might be seeing spikes from behind. That's how you can never counter her out. You know, you'd be foolish to do it. And if she does that, then I don't know how people come back from that, because Fraser-Pryce is getting into age groups that don't run anymore. It's it's like senior records she's trying to break at some point. So yeah, I'll Yeah, but I wouldn't put it past her. Let me get back to a couple of more. All in the game said Lashinda Demas has set up. Did she know? Did she? Did she? I didn't see that part, to be honest with you. And first of all, they should be flying her for free. For getting a ticket to Paris at that time is not cheap. It's gonna be like it's like $2,500 to get a ticket to Paris during the Olympic time. It's not, like I mean, where does she live? Atlanta. She probably can get a decent flight, but it's not cheap. Paris at that time is expensive. Paris is expensive now, but yeah, there should have been U.S. track and field, or somebody should be uh doing something to help to get her there. Yeah, London was a particularly difficult thing. There's also that upgrade for Kelly Spencer as well. Yeah. Mind again. Sad to say though, Sha'Carri looks imperious. Hope someone can beat her. Not my favorite personal time. Yeah, I mean, yeah, she didn't look so particularly great over the 200 meters, but she dropped the 10.8 in Eugene. Looks fine. I think she'll be okay. We'll see next week in the national trials and leading up, but I mean, talent-wise, we can't question it. She's always been talented. If she gets it right, it's hard. I just don't see her not being on the podium, to be honest with you. But you know, it's not a given she'll win. But nobody's taking a claim to winning it, including her, right? So I think if you start seeing people dropping some 10.6, and so then it can like start to look. But the Olympic title is wide open. It's not particularly. No one is running any particularly outstanding times that's separating from anything. Yeah, 10.78 from Alfred is impressive, but it's at it had some good tailwind as well, and it's not like 10.70 or so we'll see. London Diamond League is it at the Olympics? Yeah, and over 50 tickets. Whoa, interesting. It's consistently most reliable track and field crowd when it comes to major meets. That's true. Yeah, and it brings me the question about all this money stuff that comes in. I know I'm going off topic here. All that new money that they want to bring into the sport. Like, where is it coming from in terms of are they just relying on TV revenue here? Are people gonna come in come to watch? But yeah, the Europeans tend to watch tend to support track and field much more. Even some of the smaller meets, like Ostrava is always a meet that has a lot of people and it doesn't have Diamond League status either. So yeah, but yeah, when you have meets in Birmingham and in London, they always have a bunch of people. The Brits like the track and field. I was a bit surprised about the European Championships in Rome. I didn't. No one was really there from what I saw from the clips that I saw, but I don't know if it filled out eventually. But it wasn't promising. But yeah. I agree with you. Shelley is a super. Yeah, I mean she's one of a kind. When she's done, we'll never see the like. Yeah, we'll never see the like again. It's not a question. Back to back at the Olympics. I mean, back to back at the Olympics is a difficult thing for anybody to do. We're talking about Wyoming Tyus. We're talking about Gail Divas. Talking about Shelly-Ann Fraser Price, and we're talking about Elaine Thompson-Herah. You don't get up and do that stuff. And then also she has silver and bronze, and then 5 world championships. There's not an athlete alive that's running right now that can do that right now. They don't have any time. Nobody can make those numbers. In the end, I think someone like some people, people can have more medals. Obviously, like Shericka Jackson can get more medals in the end or other thing. But that kind of thing there in the 100-meter, it's not happening again. All in the game is saying women's 100 meters, my event, 6-7 women have run sub 12.4s in each of the last 2 years, which is a record. Could legitimately have 10 women do this year for the first time. Glad you brought it up all in the game, because I want to talk about the women's 100-meter hurdles. If anybody can tell me who will win the women's 100-meter hurdles, and they and they feel like they could put money on it, I want to know. They should start issuing lotto tickets, the numbers for the lotto ticket. That is the hardest event in track and field to predict. I'm telling you, it's the hardest event. A bunch of women, superb talent. Exactly right. Right now, we're looking at Samba Malaya winning the European Championships in 12:31. Kambunji running a fantastic 12:40. Amazon runs 12:40 in Kingston recently as well. Marshall has run 12:42. The Polish athlete has done that too. Can never remember how to pronounce her name. Niali, you have Camacho Quinn in 12:4 regions. Daniel Williams as well. Charlton. That is the hardest thing to do. And then obviously, if Kenny's fit, that's the toughest meet in all of track and field. It's the most competitive thing in track and field. And people are going to be sitting. Oh yeah, I'm going to get to that too. And people are going to be sitting wondering how they didn't make it to Olympic final. I have no idea when it comes to women's 100 meters hurdles. Anybody can win that. Out of the kind of names that we'll drop, the Camacho Quins. We haven't even seen Brittany Anderson. I don't know if she'll be back. She's been training, but I don't know if she'll be even able to do anything. Yeah. Look, I'm just waiting. That's the one you bring out your popcorn and you just flip coins and say who will win, because nobody can predict that unless somebody gets up tomorrow or in the next couple of weeks and drop like a 12 10, or start running some 12 teens, low 12s, approaching world record. Then we can say maybe. But the class there is different level, different class right there. I'm astonished by the quality. And since All in the Game brought up the triple jump, let's talk about that. I got to be honest with you. I didn't see this coming. Men's triple jump has now suddenly become electrifying. At the European Championships, we got 2 top 10 performances of all time. And where does this Diaz Fortin guy come leaping out to 18-18? That's third all time on the triple jump list. Only Kristen Taylor rather, with 18-21 from Taylor, and obviously the great Jonathan Edwards, which I still remember, that Gothenburg 1995 sailing to, it was Gothenburg, right? 1995 sailing to 18-29. Only those two guys have gone further than him. 18-18, I couldn't predict that, to be honest with you. I didn't see that coming. Obviously, Pedro Pichardo also at the European Championship going 18.08. That puts him 6 all-time on the list, I believe. I could see that because I think he has the ability there. But a couple of weeks ago, we were just gearing up or savoring the world lead then from Jaden Hippard at 17.75, his first jump that he wasn't doing the short stride patterns. And we thought at that point, this kid might be on course for the gold medal. And then we end up with these big performances there from those other two guys raising the bar. At the same time, we can't forget Fabrice Django. He's also jumping well at 17:53. So this event for me is shaping up to be one of the highlights at the Olympics, because we now have multiple athletes capable of pushing the 18-meter barrier, because I am very certain that Jaden Hibbert will go 18 meters. He may even go 18 meters at the Jamaica National Trials. But what we're looking at is some fierce competition, and it's going to be exciting. There is a little bit of a back and forth with Pedro Pichardo and questioning the automated measuring system during the 1818. I have not investigated that enough, and I haven't seen anything from European athletics saying there is any kind of problems there. But if a man jumps 1818, I mean, that's out there. That is really out there. This is going to be a nice event, obviously. That's going to be a nice event at the Olympics. Certainly going to be a nice event at the Olympics. I urge you to get excited for that. And if you think that's going to be a nice event at the Olympics, I want to go back to an event that I think will also potentially push barriers at the Olympics. Because we are now in a season of another big three. Right now, the big three that we should be thinking about. Before I get to that, let me just get us some comments here. Yeah, that was Petty from Petrada. Yeah, I think so. He was out there complaining, and the dude jumps 18.08. Just, that's fantastic. Don't question it. The 1818. I don't get why you're complaining there, and it was out of hand for that. And if you don't like it, then come back and jump 1819 or 1820 at the Olympics. I'm here for it. I mean, Jonathan Edwards' record is on the books for a very long time. It's probably time for it to be broken. We saw when Yulimar jumped and broke the world record. Both of those world records were triple jump records, occurred in the same year, if my memory serves me correctly, in Gothenburg. So it's time. It's been a long time now. We always thought that Christian Taylor would be the man, but he never quite, and then he got injured, obviously. He's still, to me, I would rank Taylor ahead of Edwards in terms of when you put all the packages together, the medals. I mean, Edwards is fantastic world record holder, but you can be the world record holder and not be the best of all time for me. Just, it's the same way I don't think Wade Van Niekerk is the greatest 400-meter athlete of all time, but that's a difference. That's another day. Mindset is saying it seems 18 meters is the standard for the podium at the Olympics. I am worried for Jaden. I don't know. I don't know if I'm worried. I think he's capable of jumping 18 meters. But as you say, it might be an interesting one, But long may that continue, to be honest with you, because a lot of these field events have been faltering from time to time. It's like long jump. If somebody goes and win the long jump and they jump like 840, I'm going to be upset. I feel like 855, 860, 870 should be the standard. I mean, I just, I want to see what can happen there. I think Jaden can push 18 meters. The boy's talented. Won't rule him out. No, he's a special guy. He's a special guy. I'm coming to that to all in the game. Let me just finish the 400-meter hurdles before I go back to my friend Mihambo, because I really like her. So if we thought that the real big three now in sport is Carson Varham, Rai Benjamin, and Alison Dos Santos, what they're doing this year is outstanding performances. And to secure any kind of win at the Olympic Games, you need to be in a low 46 shape. I just don't think you can be in any kind of shape other than that. You need to be in a low 46 shape and potentially dipping on the sub 46. I still don't know who will win here. I've watched Varham twice now, and I'm a bit worried about a couple of things. So I watched him Obviously, he broke the world. He came close and he run that fabulous time in the 300 hurdles. But then he ran in the Diamond League his first 400-meter hurdles where he was leading. He clipped the hurdle. Dos Santos beat him. Then I saw him again at the European Championships, and he had the same issue in my mind. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he's running alone. There's no competition at the European Championships, and he's struggling at the end to me. So I think up to 8 hurdles is fantastic, and there's some work to be done over the last fewer hurdles. Perhaps he's going on too hard. Perhaps. I'm not 100% sure. The truth is he has to go out hard. That is his style anyway. And he's going to push it to and force you to probably come with him and get off your own stride pattern and maybe potentially get into trouble. But what we haven't seen Benjamin since he ran that world lead before Dos Santos retook the world lead. But we'll see him at the USA Championships. But he seems to be in great shape. But outside of those 3, I don't see anybody coming anywhere close to the medal podium. Absolutely nobody. And we're in an era of some good 400-meter hurdles. Some good 400-meter hurdle, some athletes that can run some fantastic times. But I just don't see it. You have your Kyron McMasters, you may have a Rashawn Clark, CJ Allen, Sibilio, that guy there. All of those guys, I think, can run really great times, potentially very low 47s or mid to low 47s. But I don't know if they can get into sub 40 6'5" range. If you're not sub 46.5, you're not seeing the podium. There's that guy Caleb Dean that was really impressive recently with his 47.23. Long season for him. Maintaining that might be challenging, but I don't know. But I just can't see anybody apart from Varham, Benjamin, and Dos Santos, and I still don't know where the medals will go there, but I think those 3 will get the medals. Let's see where we are here. I'll get back to some of that stuff there in a minute. Varm last tour doesn't look good. Yeah, I agree. That's where I think he's having trouble, and I think it's because he's pushing a lot. So when he comes off the bend, he's struggling to maintain the strides. But it could be still, it's technically early season still for him, and we'll see. All in the game. Every event needs a big 3. I would hope so, Sonia. Jaden will rise to the occasion. That's what I want to see as well. Yeah, Tentoglu back. That 865 is back. I think long jump for men should be okay. I think there's a bunch of guys capable of 8.6s for sure. But Tentoglu is like a machine. He finds a way. So I'm not 100. I'm not worried about that. Now, this is an interesting thing here. I want to talk about that. So Miambo back. As we know, she had that injury. Was it last season or the season before? And then kept her out of last season. I know she came back and she jumped that 722 into that negative wind. Whole season, Tara Davis has been the most consistent athlete so far. Really good. She has what? I think Tara has a 7.18, I believe. I have to check. But I think she has she's been consistently good over the long jump, I think. I think she has a 7.18 if I'm not if my memory serves me correctly. I want to check that so I don't make a mistake. Yeah, she does. So she has a 7.18 and she's done 7.16, 7.14. She's jumped over 7 meters a number of times this season. It's going to be fire between those 2. Can anybody else come in the mix? There's the Italian woman too. She's close to 7 meters. What's the status of Jasmine Moore? Is she done? Yeah, but I think, I mean, medals. I think the gold medals are going through Davis Woodall and Mihambo. But Mihambo to me is a fantastic jumper, technically really good. Not particularly as, I don't think she's as fast as people down, but she's technique wise, she's really good. So we'll see about, we'll definitely see. Let's see where we are here if there's any more comments. Yeah. Oh yeah, Esse Brume. I forgot about Esse Brume. Sorry, yeah, definitely capable. Off the she was off the podium last year, right? Did she put medal? She's consistently medaling, but she was, I believe, she was off the podium last year, if my memory serves me correctly. Yeah, certainly capable as well. Has she jumped this season? She jumped early this season, right? But she hasn't gone outdoors yet for the season. Has she gone outdoors for the season yet? I just can't remember if she's gone outdoors for the season. Yeah. But yeah, we want to see the long jump. We want to see those things flourish. I think some of those events don't really get the kind of time of day where when athlete, it's not as sexy as people want it to be, but it should be though. It's a fantastic event. It's one of the holdovers like from ancient Olympia. There's a version of that there. I'm always trying to throw these history stuff in it because I feel like that, the javelin, the discus, those are some traditional events that just, you don't want to get rid of. Shot put is going to be great at the Olympics too. Fabry is pulling up trees. I just saw recently that Ryan Krauser looks like he's fit and healthy again, or he's close to that. He was lifting some tough weights. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those seasons where I think we might end up with. I never count out Krauser, to be honest here, even when he's not, even when he's struggling. But men's shot put is gonna be great. Joe Kovacs. What can we say about that guy? 23s this season too. So yeah, yeah, that's gonna be exciting events. But we'll get to a lot of those things in the coming weeks for sure. That elevated platform they were jumping on was a good. Yeah. Long jump is, I love it. I know we'll see if we love it after next year when World Athletics finishes their study of the takeoff zone, which I'll wait. I'll wait to see about that. I haven't fully made up my mind on the takeoff zone situation. I get it, but I still haven't fully made up. I still haven't really formed a full opinion on that as yet. Yeah, there's a lot more stuff I probably would have wanted to talk about, but I've been on the live for an hour and a half here, and I know many of you have been with me for a long period. So I wanted to come on obviously tonight to do a little track and field talk. I'll be on probably again this weekend, but probably with some other sports. So do join me there if you want, if you are so inclined. But as we get into the let me just get this from all. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. I'm fine with it. It's the what? How much money they're giving away? Was it like a few million prize money at stake? Uh, I'm okay with it. I think it's still not what we want to save the sport, but I think it's something that is needed in a sense to kind of create spotlight. I think this is also a response to. I know. Okay, let me put it this way: World Athletics had something like this in the works for a while, because when they decided to trial the long jump stuff and some other things, they were thinking about doing a competition like this. And this was probably because they know, yeah, right, $10 million prize pot, 150K to the event winners. And they probably knew that all of these other breakaway leagues were going to try to be formed at some point, right? The whatever Michael Johnson is trying to do, whatever other people are trying to come up with their own track meets. And they still want to control it, and they want to create something that still culminates into a championship that would be worthwhile for them. I think it can be an exciting event. I still think the biggest challenge that they have is that they don't know how to really crack the big markets, right? It's still seen as a peripheral sport. And then you have this year now, which is going to be an Olympic year, and most of the marketing around track and field occurs in an Olympic year, and they believe, and that's the only thing that they will take advantage of. But World Championships never get any kind of viewerships the same way or buzz, and that's sometimes some of the most spectacular stuff happening at those events, and it just never happens. Like this year, billions of people will watch track and field, and I put it to you that if 2 billion people watch track and field throughout the Olympics, and it could be more than that, but let's just use 2 billion as a round number, world athletics will not, and I repeat, they will not take 10% of that as hardcore fans that they can then continue to use as part of the experience for track and field going forward, that they can be selling them a subscription or finding a way for them to be involved in the sport. It's never gonna happen because they don't know what they're doing. And it's hard for a sport like this that many of us love. It's like secondary, you get a kid running fast. Oh, you're gonna play NFL if you live in the United States. You're gonna basketball. Look at Devon Allen. Devon Allen went and practice squad and made more money in his life than he would have as a track and field athlete. And this is the dude that went to the Olympics. So the guy could have won the world championship a few years ago. So until they crack that part, I don't know. Like Diamond League is not. People don't understand that. They don't. Yeah. For all of what track and field is and how amazing it is in terms of, it's the most feasible sport you can ever get. Like you getting people running fast, running distance, throwing every stuff, jumping, high, low, it's if you can really sell that sport, it would be the greatest thing. And anybody who goes to a track and field meet, like just go to a meet, like even if you understand anything, that you don't understand anything, there's just the competition, the vibe, the atmosphere, it can turn you into a believer right away. And that's my rant. I rant about this all the time. All in the game is saying I like that it only has semifinal and semi and final rounds for track events and straight finals for field events featuring 8 to 16 of the world's top ranked athlete. No, that's what they should have been doing. I'll be honest with you too, even though world championships could happen every year, I just don't really see any reason why it can't happen every year. Right? It's just that maybe they can't get the budget around it every year, but this is something similar they're gonna do here. I mean, you could have an elite thing like this. This can really be a fantastic event. In fact, who is hosting the first one of this? Is it gonna be in Budapest? I can't remember. I need to figure this out early so I can probably find my way there. That should be because it's what 26. Yeah. Is there a work? What year are we? There's a World Cup in 26, right? But yeah. Anyway, this could work. If you eliminate half of those things in the morning of it's Budapest. Yeah, exactly. So I think it could be fantastic, and you just get the rankings, and then also you could create some space for if you don't have rankings, but you have a couple big names that you want to kind of pull in because they can bring in the sport, then you can rock up and give them an extra lane. Especially if you have like 10 lane tracks now, which I think that's the new move. for new stadiums, probably 10-lane tracks. Now they're using 9 for sure, but you can just get some people out there and have some exciting stuff. Yeah, World Cup is in the US for sure. Get in the lottery, everybody. I shouldn't say one thing for sure. Even if you're not a fan of the World Cup, you should just try to get in the lottery if you live in the United States, or even if you don't. Then you can probably sell your tickets if you don't want, or sell some. You hopefully get like a ticket. You get like a second round match with England and somebody, and you just sell it to a British guy who wants to sell his motorcycle to go watch England take home some football tournament that they'll probably never win. But anyway, it's been a pleasure, guys, to chat with you guys this evening. I'll be on the channel, be working on some stuff. I'll try to get another Track and Field live up next. But I'll be on next week, obviously, for sure, as these national championships start, and I'll probably do some watch-alongs. Then we can do some review shows, and we'll start to get into the mix for the Paris Olympic Games. Yeah, Mexico and Canada, they're not hosting as many games. The bulk of it is in the United States for sure, yeah. But yeah, they do have some matches there in Toronto and Vancouver and in Mexico City, and we're Monterrey, I think. In Monterrey Stadium looks fantastic. Is it Monterrey? Yeah. That's a place you might want to go if you just want to feel the stadium vibe as well. No, but it's going to be great, a lot of games in California and New Jersey, obviously, and Atlanta has a lot of games too. And I think they have one of the semifinals, and Dallas and so on. Yeah, it's going to be a spectacle for sure. And then it's an expanded World Cup too, so there are going to be more teams there as well. Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight. I'll see you soon, and enjoy sports. There's cricket, there is football. European Championship started today. Scotland found out the wrong way, but there's a bunch of games tomorrow as well. But I'll be in touch, and I'll see you next time. Oh yeah, playing at high altitude should be. I mean, it will not be fun, but here they just got to fly in like a couple days before, flying the night before or 2 days before, and just hit it and just run out. Especially if you're like if you're the better team, you just want to score early and then just defend. I remember that's what they used to do when they used to play in that high stadium in La Paz in Bolivia. Brazil would be like up 4-0 in 20 minutes, and then the Bolivians would come back, and they don't play at that stadium anymore. But there's a lot of high altitude, especially in South America. Anyway, have a good night too, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, take care. Bye-bye.